Giants release Daniel Jones. Where is he going to land? Raiders, a lot of Dallas Cowboy rumors. Who knows? But the Giants are a debacle right now. Absolute straight debacle run by the worst GM in football, Joe Shine, making bad move after bad move, bad investment after bad investment, totally ruining the fantasy value of Malik Neighbors, who is now banged up yet again. And part of it probably is due to hospital balls that are thrown to him on the regular across the middle of the field or toward the sideline that he's got to lay out for and put his body in jeopardy. All of his nicks and bruises and injuries are very, very much related to how this organization runs this thing. Daniel Jones, we'll talk about that real quickly. Brock Purdy, QB madness, QB turmoil. The Niners may be without Brock Purdy in week number 12. This coming from our boy Raj right here, where he says Braylon Allen will get the start if Brock Purdy is unable to play against the Packers, per John Lynch. So the fact that this is even being floated right now, like, oh, if he doesn't play, Braylon Allen's going to get the start, that doesn't bode well for Brock Purdy's availability for week number 12. Had they say, we'll see how he's doing tomorrow, they're already making plans. This usually is a path toward a player not playing. But we'll break that down in a minute. What's the impact to Debo, to Jennings, to the entire Niner organization, to their playoff aspirations? All of that and more. The Fantasy Football Show begins right now.
Live from the FantasyFootballShow.com studios.
It's the Fantasy Football Show. Live!
Monday through Friday, 8 p.m. Eastern. Smitty is also live whenever news breaks.
So here we are discussing Brock Purdy, discussing Daniel Jones, discussing Brandon Allen, discussing how this situation could turn sideways on all 49er, fantasy football owners. If you have a player at all that's relating to this situation, you might be in trouble. This coming from GM John Lynch on Brock Purdy. Brock shoulder underwent an MRI, and the team feels good about where he's at from that standpoint. That's more John Lynch, dancing around the situation. John can dance around any sort of topic or news or concern better than any GM in the league. Not saying he's dishonest in how he talks about things, but he definitely dresses things up in ways to try and make it the best. Now, that's kind of his job. He's a PR master, right? Part of his job is PR, but this is not looking good for Jennings. So now we got to reevaluate all your Jennings questions. Do you start Jennings? Do you start, this player, that player? Devontae Smith's questionable. Neighbors is questionable. We got a whole bunch of other players that now are kind of a question mark for week number 12. So we've got a lot of potential unraveling in lineups everywhere due to just this news right here. Even Neighbors becomes a question mark now, because not only is he questionable to begin with, but we're talking about the fact that he's got this ambiguous quarterback room and probably going to see two more quarterbacks throwing him footballs, one starting this week, and then at some point he will probably have another quarterback throwing him footballs in Drew Lock. There's probably no way he sees just one QB from here on out, and that's bad for rapport, that's bad for production, that's bad for everything. So there is a lot of concern about Neighbors' season going like this. Now, if you bought him low, he still remains a decent buy low in the context that you're going in and you're buying for pennies on the dollar, or you're buying at a very reasonable price tag, one that packages in and bakes in all of the risk that we're talking about. If it's baked in, then I like it. If it's not baked in, then I don't like it. As with some of these other players, Pacheco probably not likely to play this week. We thought maybe we get him back. We'll have more on that at the 8 p.m. show. This show, we're kind of focusing on the two quarterbacks. We're focusing on where Daniel Jones could be playing, what Malik Neighbors' value is moving forward, what happens in the future. Does Malik Neighbors have a competent organization or competent GM to the degree that we feel comfortable that he's going to be in a situation next year where he's catching footballs from a good quarterback? It's hard to know. It's hard to know. It's hard to trust neighbors right now because you can't trust the Giants. The Giants are one of the worst run organizations in football. And this is not a knock on Giants fans. If you're a Giants fan right now, you can't take offense to that. In fact, you probably agree with me. If you're a logical Giants fan, you agree with me. This is not a knock on Giants fans. I love Giants fans. My Giants fans are always welcome here. I'm not ripping on a fan base. I never do. I only rip on an organization. I only rip on a GM. I only rip on how a team's handling themselves like the New York Giants. Time after time after time. This season's been a debacle from Joe Shine letting Barkley go. And don't even give me that crap about how Barkley, they're going in a different direction. And Barkley, don't even try. Don't even try. This is an absolute debacle. This Giants organization is run by a clown show in Joe Shine, who I wouldn't let shine my shoes. And Brock Purdy, if he does not play this week and the Niners lose this game, the Niners are in a tailspin that will be hard to recover from in order to claim a wild card spot, because they certainly won't be winning the division. Let's hit some of these super chats, and we will be answering some phone calls here in a second. Smitty, the way the Steelers use Pickens angers me, man. Bro, part of it is that, yeah. Part of it's weather. Part of it is how they use Pickens is very, very annoying. Part of it is Russell Wilson, bro. I know everyone thinks that Russell Wilson opens up this offense, but he's not a very good quarterback. And it's not that Justin Fields was using Pickens properly. That's not my argument here. My argument here for Fields is that if you commit to him and you build the offense around him, then he will do what he did with DJ Moore to Pickens. But the problem is you'll never get that out of Tomlin. Even if Russell Wilson missed 2 games with a calf injury again, guess what he's doing? Waiting for Russell Wilson to get back and start. Therefore, Fields is a placeholder. Fields is driving a custom-built car that's made for Russell Wilson, not for Justin Fields. Russell Wilson's a short man. The car is a lot smaller, and Justin Fields is trying to squeeze his 6'1" or 6'2" body into the car. Actually, Ziggy, how tall is Justin Fields?
Justin Fields weighs 227 pounds and is
6'3". Sorry.
Tall.
He's trying to squeeze his 6'3" body into a custom-built car that is made for a short, small Russell Wilson. That's what's happening. So don't tell me Pickens isn't good with Fields. He's not good with Fields in a constricted and an absolutely confined area, which is the offense that awaits Russell Wilson. But part of the problem, whether Russell Wilson, Tomlin, Arthur Smith, play calling, all of that, the other part is Pickens. Pickens has a screw loose. Pickens is a baby, a big whining, complaining grown man that absolutely can't handle the pressure. Pickens, to me, the reason Pickens will never be elite, and when I say elite, I mean like top 5 to 6, top 7. I mean in conversations where we're like, this is A.J. Brett, this is a borderline second, top of round 2 guy. He will never be elite. He will never be elite because he doesn't have the mental capacity or the ability to weather through bumpy situations and have the calmness and the collective attitude and drive and determination and all of that. He doesn't have any of that. He has none of that. When interviewed after the game, George Pickens said that the Browns are not a good team. Did anybody catch, before you start defending Pickens right now and you have no idea what you're saying, and you come in here and you try and defend George Pickens and embarrass yourself. You defend George Pickens in this conversation, you're embarrassing yourself. Maybe go watch the footage of him after last night's game where they said, what do you think about the weather? And he said the weather was a big factor in why we lost. I don't think the Browns are that good of a team. We lost because of the weather. Guess what? They both played in weather. They both played in weather. They're both used to weather. George Pickens is a baby. George Pickens is a head case. George Pickens is a crybaby. And he's a bad sport. He's a sore loser, and that's what stands in George Pickens' way more than anything else. It's not as much as Tomlin. It's about how he gets angry, Celtics, when he doesn't get the ball at the moment he wants the ball. This is a Antonio Brown in the making.
Motion detected at the front door.
I think we got a UPS delivery here. Just set it down, my man. Okay. Anyway, so I appreciate your concern, Celtics. I understand where you're coming from, but at the end of the day, it's more on George Pickens than it is on anything. And anybody that defends George Pickens' actions is embarrassing themselves right now. Smitty to the moon. Thank you, Mojave. Appreciate you dropping that, my man. Got HN drop right. Or Ray Davis drop Ferguson for Kincaid. You kind of have to right now with Fergie being banged up. But I will say that as far as the right Davis, this is not something, Danny, that I can really commit to because you're asking me to predict who gets hurt first. What starting running back gets injured first? And I can't give you that information. I can only tell you that these guys have equal value if ever plugged into the lineup. I'll go ahead and say Ray Davis because his team is more likely to be fighting for something, obviously. I'll say Ray Davis because he has a clearer path. There's a little bit of ambiguity in terms of workload if one of the RBs goes down in Miami because there's three of them. I'm going to say Ray Davis if I had to pick. And Ray Davis we love here on the channel. He was a midseason monster, by the way. Crazy to trade JT for Chase Brown. I don't think it's crazy, but I think the market demands you get a lot more. So the answer is, at the end of the day, it's not a smart move because you can get more. So get more and then do the trade, but you've got to get a lot more. Mike Evans, officially game time decision. We've got all this to go over later, Thomas. We've got Neighbors. We've got Evans. We've got a whole bunch of other players that need to be discussed right now. We're going to stick with the quarterbacks mainly on as far as the breaking news goes. I don't mind if you super chat and ask a question about it for sure. So thank you for doing that. But I do feel like, we're going to hit all that later, and I'm going to hold on to these topics right here and keep this video a little bit compartmentalized. But ask away if you have a super chat and you have a question about something. But yes, you are correct. Tracy or Bucky this week, I'm probably going to say, like, Bucky's a good play. Tracy's safer. Tracy's got more guaranteed volume. Bucky is in a rotation of sorts that is hard to predict, but if Bucky gets work, Bucky's going to ball. Bucky's a favorite here on the channel. We love Bucky Irving. Bucky's a monster. We've had him on the waiver wire ad board forever, and Bucky's a straight-up baller if he gets the work. Jose says, I'm guessing Smitty doesn't have any Pickens shares. I'm guessing Jose has only Pickens shares. Jose, one thing you don't know about me clearly, and you're embarrassing yourself here, is that I don't have any bias toward this stuff. I have tons of Pickens shares. Pickens has been a moon man. Pickens has been on our bold prediction breakout board all the time, Jose. This has nothing to do with my fantasy football teams, because your boy has an ability to not look at this stuff differently than you, Jose. I don't have any bias attached to this stuff. The only bias I have is maybe against Russell Wilson. That's probably the only bias I have in terms of anything we talk about relating to fantasy, the NFL, the National Football League. Any of this is maybe just toward Tomlin's Russell Wilson choice. That's the only bias I carry into each and every show, my boy. As a Desperado just said, Smitty is objective. I bring an objective take that just doesn't flow well with some of your fantasy teams, which is why Jose said that comment, because Jose's mad about me talking badly about a player that embarrassed himself last night. Smitty tells you the truth that you don't want to hear, Jose. Smitty tells you that Pickens is an absolute head case, that Pickens stands in his own way. Pickens was a moon man last year. Listen to Aaron as he speaks the truth. Pickens was a moon man last year. I love Pickens' talent. Pickens is embarrassing himself, and he's ruining his career. What do we got? Do better, Jose, says Kentucky.
Take a big lap.
Come on, Jose.
Take a big lap.
Pickens equals Diggs. He does, Joseph. He does. And Pickens, hey, Pickens, we're going to send you on a big, fat, full big lap.
Take a big lap. We don't need your head mask coming back now. Take a big lap. Take one and you don't come back.
That wasn't for, I wasn't telling Joseph not to come back. I was telling Pickens maybe needs to pack up and not come back. But now we've got two extremes to take a lap. This is a normal take a lap. This is if somebody that we love comes in here and goes, Smitty, should I trade Devon Achane? And we say, take a lap. But when there's a grave offense,
Take a big lap. We don't need your head mask coming back now. Take a big lap. Take one and you don't come back.
so we got it all covered now. We got it all covered. Is Devo cooked? You know, Jesus, in one way, you got to be worried about it, right? At the same time, though, Jesus, maybe they're going to run this man, and he's going to get a lot of design plays. So it's hard to say. It could go either way. Laporta, yes, Laporta back for this week. I think Laporta is the most underrated tight end in the National Football League right now. And it is going to look very obvious later, and it's going to be, everyone's going to be like, yeah, it was easy to see coming. Right now it's not. Laporta's being dropped. Laporta's been dropped in an uncomfortable amount of leagues. Laporta is being talked about as if somebody you wouldn't start in a 12-man league. So remember that when 2 or 3 weeks from now, or in 2025, when we start ranking him, where people actually got down bad on Laporta. Laporta is a top 3 tight end. People just forget. They just forget. Yeah, Hunt value up. We'll talk about that at 8 p.m. Okay. Jose's down bad, guys. He says, I'm a little behind on the show. Been hearing Smitty. Smitty says he doesn't have bias, but then he says he does. I just, like, how much more clear can I be? I said I have no bias except for maybe Tomlin and Russell Wilson in that situation. How hard is it to really understand what I just said, Jose? I really don't get. Jose, starting to feel like you're a hater, Jose. You're trying to catch up on the show, but it sounds to me like you don't like the show, Jose. Laporta is tight end 17 on the year, not 3. I don't get that one. Connor, it's okay if that went over your head, if you don't understand what I'm trying to say with Laporta. That's unbelievable, Connor. Come on, man. Connor, read what you just wrote. Laporta's tight end 17 on the year, not 3. I don't get that one. Connor, read what you just said. Unbelievable.
Take a big lap.
All right, 2 phone calls.
Call into the show. Call into the show.
Two phone calls. God. Oh, did I not have the phone line open? I'm sorry. Now try.
Take a big lap.
Jeez. You know, the new take a lap really hits. It really hits when you need to do a quick, little punch. Like if somebody does something and I just real quickly.
Take a big lap.
And then we're back to business. It really hits nicely. Josh, you're live.
Hey, that take a big lap. It's slapping, bro.
It does slap pretty.
Yesterday, you let it run off. It's been in my head, bro.
Hey,
Take
it's
a
pretty
big
good.
lap. It's slapping.
It's pretty good. It's pretty good. Okay, what can I do for you, Josh?
Dude, good call. Good call with the Joku. I mentioned Joku yesterday. The shoemaker, so hoping that works out.
Well, I don't know that I called that. I was telling you I don't know. As far as
You didn't like him. I was with it. So it worked out for me.
I don't know that I'm just being honest. I don't know that I said that. I felt like I felt like I'd said Njoku Shoemaker tough call. I feel like I told a few people Njoku. I'm just trying to be transparent. I'm just trying not to toot my own horn when I don't deserve it. But I'm glad you sat him. I'm glad you sat him, but I'm pretty confident I said go Njoku. But that's just me. Njoku dropped a touchdown pass. I'm not worried about that decision or that advice. It sucks that he dropped it, but he had a 100% at a touchdown, which would have changed everything. Then he would have had like a 10-point game. So, but it's good that you went in the other direction. Although I don't know that it's gonna for sure, help you. Shoemaker could, he could do okay, but who knows? But I appreciate the potential props there. What else can I do for you, Josh?
I'm pondering right now, man. I'm real pondering. I got an offer from 4 of my CDs for his first round pick and Nico Collins, and I'm like, whew. I'm as close to 50-50 as you can get.
First round,
what are you thinking?
a first round pick for Nico?
No. A first round pick and Nico for CD.
Oh, for CD. I'd take Nico in a first round pick probably. But the one thing I want to say though is that I think a lot of people are gonna fortunately for the people that are buying, but use this current 2024 situation to devalue CD too much in Dynasty, and that's a mistake. But that's a mistake we can capitalize on. However, you're talking about a whole different thing. This is a whole different can of worms. This is you getting a first rounder. Does it have a shot at being an early first or no?
No.
Okay, but you can maybe flip it into an early first, maybe somehow. I do that all the time.
Yeah.
I go look at teams that they think they're good, and then you're like, bro, let's swap first rounders. I'll give you a second rounder if we okay. And they bet on themselves, and you can turn that up. But, I mean, Nico's a top 5-6 wide receiver. So, CeeDee Lamb is a top 1 to 5. So, there's overlap there. But the problem is we don't know who's quarterbacking, downstream. We know Dak Prescott is going to be the quarterback from the jump. But, bro, we don't know how this is going to shake out like 2 years from now, 3 years from now. I'm just a little worried about Dallas right now. I buy CeeDee Lamb low. Dak knows how to throw it to him. Next year's a new year. But Jerry hates Dak Prescott. He low-key hates him. Dak was catching strays from him in 2 interviews ago when they said, how do you expect to play with Cooper Rush? He said, I expect to play better with Cooper Rush than Dak Prescott. So he was catching strays. So I just feel like from a dynasty perspective, Nico there's enough overlap that you give me the first rounder, and I'll turn that into something greater, like a first rounder and a player to go get a doubted player on the low, like Kyren or Achan or Gibbs or something like that. I'll use that first rounder to get it.
Right on.
All right, bro.
Real quick.
Yeah, last one.
One more. Fast one. Who's got better value dynasty-wise? Cooper Rush or Trey Lance? And that's it. That's all I got.
I don't know. Neither. I don't think any one of them is becoming a starter. Maybe I'd say Lance is a better shot because Cooper Rush does not have the ability to be a starting quarterback in the National Football League for the long term. Can he fill in and do a little like Tyrod Taylor action for you? Maybe. But at least we know he doesn't, and Lance probably doesn't, but he hasn't done it yet, so I guess I lean toward Lance, but there's probably the answer is probably neither. All right, later, bro. Appreciate you.
All right.
Rock out. Got to go rock out so as quick as you can, my boy. What can I do for you?
Yeah, with Daniels being out and all that, how's that affect Tracy? Because Daniels was a running threat.
I mean, it could be good. This week, Tracy's value probably gets a little bit of an uptick. Then again, you don't know how a team's going to adjust and how it's going to go. I mean, hard to say. Plus, we still don't know the ramifications of his 2 costly turnovers at the end of the last game. I mean, he let the defender rip the ball out of his hand and intercept it, and then he fumbled the ball away at the end. Like 2 costly turnovers.
All right, appreciate it.
Yeah. All right, later, bro. 49er Media says our season is over, talking about the Niners, which is surprising from him because he usually comes in with a optimistic Oscar type of attitude. But, yeah, if Brock Purdy's not playing, there's this season. This is crazy because the Niners were favored in every single game in 2024. Every single, remember that? For a good month, I think. They were favored to win every single game. And they have the best roster in the National Football League. And Kyle Shanahan, 49er Media, are you ready to give up on Kyle Shanahan? Are you ready to listen to me? Shador, welcome to Jerryville. I don't know, bro. How's that going to happen with Dak? With Dak in place, how's that going to happen? Senior Rojo says need to. Dell, Jennings, Worthy, Disley. You probably still go Jennings, I suppose, and I guess Worthy. Dell's nice, but probably go Worthy right now. Niner Media is finally saying super close to yes. If he's just to bed next year, he's got to go. There you go. I feel a little vindicated on my Kyle Shanahan takes that I've been crapped on for years now. Smitty, they make the championship game. You want to fire a coach who just brought us to a championship game? How much crap I've taken over the years for my Shanahan take. It's a similar take that I have right now with the Russell Wilson situation. My Jennings to get Terry McLaurin to be safe. My Jennings to get Terry McLaurin. Yes, of course, I would take McLaurin over Jennings, especially with this current situation unfolding right now. But even if it wasn't, it would be a hell yeah. Can you imagine signing Dak and then immediately cutting him? Not going to happen. Jerry's too much of a penny pincher. Pick 2 standard. Hopkins, Worthy, Quentin Johnson, Downs. I'm going to go Hopkins and it's hard to go Hopkins and Worthy, but you almost kind of have to. That are Hopkins and Downs, I guess. All right, guys, I'll be back for the 8 p.m. show again to wrap up this one. Daniel Jones has been released. Where will he land? The effective Neighbors. I mean, he was already benched, but just Neighbors' future is questionable because this organization's incompetent right now under the command of Joe Shine, who I would not let shine my shoes. And Brandon Allen could start week number 12. So Debo, Jennings, we got a lot to talk about at the 8 p.m. show. I'll see you all at 8 p.m. Appreciate you.
Take a big lap.
Thomas says, My man Smitty, you missed my super chat. How much you want to bet I didn't? How much you want to bet I didn't, Thomas? Evans officially. I read this. I put it on screen, Thomas.
Take a big lap.
We definitely want you back, so I wasn't going to let that play through. My boy Thomas. I'm not mad at Thomas, but Thomas, yes, I did read this. I put it on screen. I said we're definitely going to attack that too at the 8 p.m. show. Thomas is what I said if you run the tape back. Appreciate you. Thomas to the moon. Oh, did he do that on purpose? I got you.
Take a big lap.
Good one, Thomas. Good one, Thomas. Blackbeard, appreciate you. Blackbeard's been kind of a ninja lately. He's there. He's always there. Appreciate you. Thank you, Travis, Blackbeard, Sick Nasty, Space Ricky, The Bolt, Vampy, Terry Roberts, Kenny Powers. I think I got all my... Sick Nasty, did I say Sick Nasty? Space Ricky? Yeah, I think I got them all out. There's Terry Roberts. All right, appreciate you all. See you at 8 p.m.